And when you watch the crowd and that really shaky fan cam footage, the only footage of this incident that exists, you can hear the crowd going ape shit over this. I mean, they were popping so hard. Where meanwhile, backstage, all the old timers, Jim Cornette and Bruce Pritchard and Gerald Briscoe and guys like that, they were throwing shit around and kicking crap and yelling and screaming and freaking out like the entire wrestling business had just exploded before their very eyes. And from a traditional standpoint, I understand that that's something that you don't do. You know, that's extremely taboo. You know, you can be ousted and blackballed from wrestling for doing something like that in the old days. But now it's 1996. If this would have been the 80s, if this would have been the 70s, those guys could have gotten their legs broken for doing shit like that. But nowadays, fans are starting to know. And the cat was already out of the bag by 1996. Not quite all the way out, but fans for the most part knew. Where I disagree with the old-timers is that if you look at the crowd and the way they were going nuts over it, you know, and then the guys backstage were pissed off that the crowd is excited and happy and enjoying what they're seeing, that's ridiculous. I know it was kind of against the script. I know that Vince really wasn't fully aware of what these guys had planned, but it was hardly the worst thing in the world because the fans were eating it up. I mean, the show was over. And none of the fans left. They stayed there and watched these guys celebrate and hug in the ring. They all climbed up to each corner of the cage and saluted the audience and did a big hug. I mean, there was fans in the audience crying over this. I mean, it was a pretty big deal. And I thought it was a nice moment. You know, yeah, it definitely broke kayfabe. Yeah, it pulled back the curtain. But to me, it was already pulled back by this point. And it would only be, what, a year later? That they would show this footage on the Titantron on Monday Night Raw, maybe a year and a half later. It was the night after Bad Blood in October of 1997, and I opened the commentary with that. One of my favorite lines in WWE is when they're playing the curtain call on Titantron, and Triple H and Shawn are in the ring saying, "Wait a minute, you were a good guy, and you were a bad guy, and what are you doing together?" And kind of making a joke out of the whole thing, which I like. So if you look at the way the WWE went, it was only a year and a half later they were playing the shit on the Titantron for their own fans on Monday Night Raw on television. So to act like what they did was the worst thing in the world is horseshit because they used it in an angle 18 months later. It's ridiculous. So I thought that the anger and the hate and the heat that everybody got was a little bit unnecessary. And of course, we all know the story of what happened to Triple H because of this incident. The story is that Shawn was the champion. So how can you punish Shawn? How can you have him job out when he's the WWE champion? You also cannot punish Kevin Nash and Scott Hall because they're gone. Their contract is up. They're going to be on Nitro in a week. So that only left one guy, Triple H, who was only a mid-carder at the time anyway, and he damn near got fired for that incident, and he had to take all the heat. He had to go and apologize to everybody. He had to job out and get humiliated in matches. Not that that wasn't already happening. You know, the WWE likes to make you think that the loss to the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania and the hog pen match with Henry Godwin was a result of the curtain call. It wasn't. All that shit took place before the curtain call. Basically, Triple H just had to spend his whole entire summer losing every match he competed in. And then just a couple of months later, you know, this took place in May. By October, he was Intercontinental Champion. So Triple H's punishment didn't last very long. It only lasted a few months. But the biggest thing that happened to him was the fact that they took away the King of the Ring. He was supposed to win the King of the Ring in 1996. And they said, you're not going to win that now. You're going to lose in the first round, and we're going to put the crown on Stone Cold Steve Austin. We all know how that worked out.